Good morning once again, children of God. And let me thank the chaplain for standing in for me last Sunday when I was unavoidably absent. I was actually giving a lecture on terrorism in Africa to the Pakistani National Defense College on Zoom. And of course, that was a very topical issue, particularly reminding ourselves of our own situation in Nigeria with Boko Haram, banditry, and kidnapping. I understand that last Sunday you revisited the passage we considered the previous Sunday, which is, now, as the church submit to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. We will not dwell on that passage again. Let us move on so that as we consider the following passages, we can understand in more detail what submission really means. Let us move on to the next verse, which reads, "Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her." Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25. If there is any lingering doubt in wife-husband relationship of love, mutual and reciprocal submission, caring and sharing as the foundation of human relationship, beginning from the nuclear family, this passage must put paid to such lingering doubt. Husbands must love their wives to the point of giving their lives up for their wives, as Christ did for the church. Now, the point I want us to gather from here is that when you are talking of relationship, of submission to the point of giving and love to the point of sacrificing one's life for the other, then the relationship is not that of slavery or that of subservience or that of underling and overling or that of domineering. It is a relationship of mutual love, mutual respect, mutual submission, and reciprocity. In verses 26 to 30, Paul elaborated on the love of Christ for the church, to make the church holy, to cleanse the church with his own blood, and to present her as a radiant and blemishless object to himself, without stain or without wrinkles. What Paul is is elaborating here is that if the love of Christ to the church must be followed in the love of husband and wife, then the relationship must be like the relationship of Christ to the church, which is sacrificial relationship. Sacrificial relationship. And I emphasize again, sacrificial relationship does not allow for domination, domineering, slavery, and subservience. How should a man love his wife? And this morning, I will want us all to participate in answering that question. How should a man love his wife? Let me start with our men. How should we love our wives? Women, I will come to you later. But let's hear from men. Lord Denny, how should we love our wife?
Providing leadership by example, be long-suffering and be patient, and in most instances to overlook a lot of slights. I won't call it wrongs. Slights in the sense that what you would normally not tolerate, one should find a way without being offensive of correcting such a thing, starting with oneself. Yes, sir.
Should provide leadership at home, should provide consultation within the family between husband and wife. That's part of showing how to love. Anybody else? How should husband love?
The word of God says, for this reason, the man will leave his parents and come to his wife, and the two of them shall twin together to form one body. A man should be able to love his wife as she will love any part of his body. That is, if you injure your wife, you are injuring your own body. You must be prepared to lay down your life for your wife. And you must make sure that you don't lord it over her. The two of you should work together as a team with the love that is close to agape love. And you show yourself as a man in the home.
You must not lord it over her.
Yes.
You must show yourself responsible at home.
Yes.
Yes. Responsibility of an individual within the community, within the society, should begin with responsibility at home. Yes. You must show responsibility. You must bear your own part of what I would call domestic duties within the domestic setup. Any other? How should a husband love his wife?
How should husband love his wife?
of love that is expected is tied to the work of Christ. And if we look at that, Christ desires beneficent, and he has beneficent interest in the well-being of the world. So if I will love my wife as you desire and have beneficent interest in our well-being, so that well-being issue is a factor. One can say what Christ did for us as husband, we should do it. We should even die for our wife. But I do ask my question. Can I say and really mean it that instead of my wife dying, I should die? Though that is the extreme of it. But what of the little things? Especially those of us that are men. When she says, I am tired, do we really agree, or do I as a chaplain agree? Those are the issues I consider, sir.
The well-being of the wife must be taken as seriously as the well-being of the husband. Bodily, spiritually, mentally, psychologically, in fact, I will say in all ways. The well-being. Now let me come to women. How should husband love their wives? Mrs. Obasanjo, I won't ask you. So that you won't know, I will not ask you. Yes, I say I will not ask her.
The question is, how should husbands, how should husbands love their wives?
How should husbands love their wife?
I think husbands should be kind to their wives.
Kindness.
Kindness.
Any other woman? Yes, madam.
In the aspect of responsibility, the husband should be able to take responsibility.
The husband should obtain
Be able to take responsibility.
responsibility. No, as a left man, unless you want to be acting woman, no. One man, I want to hear from another woman. How do you expect, or let me put it this way, how do you expect your husband to love you? Let me make it personal. And if Mrs. Obasanjo wants to take part in that, she's free. How do you expect your husband to love you?
Anytime we obey our husband must love us.
I can't hear you, madam.
Anytime we are ready to obey our husband and honor him, he will love us.
To honor you.
We should honor our husband and obey instruction.
But how do you expect your husband to love you? What will be expression of love
we need
that
to,
you want to
we
see
need to
from
take
your
care of them
husband?
very well.
Yeah.
The husband should always see the wife as a helpmate. And
As
being
a
a helpmate, she is not a slave. We are helpmates, we are partners, we should obey and love ourselves, but we are not leader and servants.
Thank you very much. The husband should see the wife as a helpmate, not as somebody to be lorded over. Madam wants to. Yes. How do you expect your husband to love you?
As a wife, one should add value to the house, to the home, to the husband, in his health and everything concerning. It goes a long way. When you say to the home, there are so many things inside.
Well, thank you very much. I know when I go to the farm, I bring back home things from the farm. For me, welfare, well-being, chaplain talk about, expression of welfare and well-being. I go to the farm, madam, I know they bring things back from the farm. I say, I know they bring things, fruit and all that back from the farm. They bring when I go. I know they bring. They bring now. They bring. Now, but I like the way Paul has put it. And let me tell you, Paul put three things, or three ways. Let us have the way Paul put it. One, the husband should be willing to sacrifice everything for the wife. And I dare say it should also be vice versa. The wife should also have a spirit and a feeling of sacrifice. That is what makes for mutuality and reciprocity. Two, sacrifice. That's number one. Number two, the husband should make her well-being of primary importance. Chaplain mentioned that. And that well-being is all-embracing. All-embracing. The well-being of the wife must be of primary importance. Physical well-being, mental well-being, psychological well-being, all aspects of the wife's well-being must be of primary importance. Three, as Paul we want us to have it, is the husband should care for the wife as he cares for his own body. The body of your wife is, of course, part of your own body, because by the two of you coming together to become one body, then the care of the body of your wife should be as important and must be taken as much as the care of your own body. Then I say, any woman treated in these three ways, any woman treated in these three ways that Paul has enumerated: sacrificial love, absolute well-being in all its ramifications, and then ensuring the care of the body, then such a woman should not be afraid of submitting to such a husband, because that submission ceases to be servant master relationship. It ceases to be master servant relationship. It ceases to be subservience. It ceases to be domineering. It becomes mutual, reciprocal submission, caring, loving, sharing, and of course being partners. You are then partners in the home. We are not talking of, who is the master, who is the servant. You are partners in the home. And of course, if we have a situation like that, in all families, you remember 2 Sundays ago, we said the nuclear family is the foundation and the fundamental base of the larger society. Now, if we have such a situation in our nuclear families and it works, then you have the conglomeration of the nuclear family, which forms the community, and the community forming the larger society. Then you have nothing but a wholesome society, an inclusive society, a loving society, a society where you care for me, I care for you. A society where you are your brother's keeper and you are your sister's keeper. And part of our problem in the world today and in our own society is that we do not have inclusive society which start from a wholesome family relationship. Now, I want us to understand that what God expects of us is a good home. A good home is the beginning and foundation of a good, harmonious, and inclusive society. It all begins with the husband and wife mutually and reciprocally sacrificing, loving, submitting, caring, and sharing. Christ and the church gave us the example of what that type of relationship should be. God kind of love and relationship. That is what we are supposed to have. And it should begin with the husband and the wife. Paul, in the last part of chapter 5 and the most part of chapter 6, was talking about home. Wife responsibility, husband responsibility. He even goes on, as we will see later, the responsibility of the children. A good home is the beginning of a good society. My prayer is that God will give each and every one of us a good home.
Thank you, sir. Any question? Okay. Any other question apart from his own? Benga wants to ask this question. Okay, two. Any other question from the congregation? We have two.
At the beginning of this teaching, you mention of sacrificial relationship. And how can we apply that one in this contemporary world, especially the church? Sacrificial relationship. You just mentioned, you didn't discuss it at all. Sacrificial relationship. You mentioned it, sir.
Sacrificial relationship. You know, I have said it here, and I will say it again. Any love, any affection, any relationship that does not bring about sacrifice on your part is no relationship, is no love. It must bring some form of sacrifice on your part. It's not necessarily sacrifice in blood. It may be sacrifice in time. It may be sacrifice in emotion. It may be sacrifice in material terms. But it must entail sacrifice. It may be sacrifice in stress and strain. Yo babo, wọ́n lọ rẹ̀ tá a bá fẹ́ ilé ẹ̀ kì í jìnnà. That's sacrifice. That's sacrifice. Ọ̀rẹ́ tá a bá fẹ́ ilé ẹ̀ kì í jìnnà. So when we talk of sacrifice, in fact, any love, any affection, any relationship, and that if you want to try it and make a demand, does it really, when it professes love, does it really, is it ready to make a sacrifice, no matter how small? So sacrifice, not necessarily in blood or in taking life, and if that is the ultimate, that too must be willing. I am not talking of those when the husband dies and the wife said, "Ngo Lord, no." And then we are pay, "Oh yeah, no, but sacrifice, it must take something from you in one form or the other." Yes, the other, okay.
Because recently, I'm concerned about love, submission, and loyalty. Loyalty, when I read about it recently, I discovered that you may not be total, you may love and not be loyal. You may submit and not be loyal. Daddy, please.
No, if you all hear what he says, he wants to differentiate between love, submission, and loyalty. Love, submission, and loyalty. Love I believe 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 13 makes it clear. I don't think we can add to that. We can elaborate on it, but we cannot add to it. That's love. Submission. I believe what we have been saying in the last four Sundays now on submission, that it is not, we have said it even today, it's not master-slave relationship. It is reciprocal. It is mutual. Loyalty is a slightly different kettle of fish. When you do a wrong thing, should your wife cover you up? We have that in the Bible. Ananias and Sapphira. Some people will say, yes, that's loyalty. Should you be loyal in an unfaithful way to God? Should you be claiming loyalty in an unfaithful way to God? Should you be claiming loyalty and be untruthful to God? Loyalty must mean obeying the will and the purpose of God. I believe that loyalty that deviates from the way and the commandment of God, then that is disloyalty to God. And disloyalty to God and loyalty to man is not what we are asking for. Thank you.
God first. Every other thing should come and lie behind it. I think that's a good point to stop this morning. We have been challenged. Love we take from you. Please, whatever it requires for you to express love, don't hold it back. That is what Christ has done. When it is your turn to do, and God is expecting you, don't fail. But as much as you love, don't let love include